Hello, and welcome to the first battle report for Tower of the Exalted. I am really excited to kind of bring this to you. Um, it is a 75-point game featuring Mordikaar versus Aurora in Convergence of Cirrus with one of my regular opponents, Matt. He's a really cool guy, good player. He loves his Convergence and Mercs. Um, kind of onto the game. We're playing um, a Outflank, but it's a completely different Outflank for people that would know it from steamroller scenarios. This Outflank is kind of like close quarters with a secondary deployment zone, where you would put one unit or solo along the right-hand edge, pretty much in the middle 12 inches up to 4 inches out. And models that are put in that deployment zone don't get advanced deployment, and no models in this entire game, um, or this scenario, I should say, gain ambush. So, onto my list, I have Voidseer Mordikaar, I have Despoiler, Titan Sentry, an Agonizer, and 5 Basilisk Drakes. I have 2 Void Spirits, a minimum and max unit of Beast Handlers, and a Mortithurge Willbreaker. If you read kind of my blog post kind of explaining the 4 different army lists that I really want to be using, this is clearly the Mordikaar list that I talked about there. It's primarily trying to be an assassination list with, 5 ghostly Basilisk Drakes running around spraying down casters to death. And we'll see how it goes. So here's my deployment. As far as terrain goes, starting kind of more towards me from the left to the right, we have a obstacle, we have a hill, we have a forest. Towards the convergence, up towards the left, there is another forest, an obstruction, and a trench. Pretty standard, nothing kind of too crazy. So on to the convergence deployment. Things kind of look a bit normal. You have 2 units of Clockwork Angels up in the AD line. For his outflanking unit, he chose an entire unit of Reciprocators. This was a big kind of surprise for me and a bit of a problem, being that I had to kind of respect that and I had to send something substantial to kind of deal with them. I couldn't just either ignore them or, think that a couple Drakes will be able to spray them down. 8 wounds, shield walling would be very problematic. In his regular deployment, he has 3 Stole Seal protectors with an Enigma Foundry behind them. He has a Corollary, an Optifix Directive, a Diffuser, not a Galvanizer, I'm sorry, an Inverter, a Cipher, which is the brownish one. Next to that one was the Inverter, and the Conservator is the one on our far right. So now we will go into turn 1. So score on turn 1, as mostly every single turn 1, is just running forward. I kind of sent out the Titan Sentry a little bit more left to deal with the Reciprocators. I went ahead and using pre-measuring, making sure that none of the Reciprocators could charge either the Agonizer or any of my Beast Handlers, the Drakes, anything like that. I knew that they were safe. As far as my flanking Void Spirit, I ran him behind the forest on the right just to make sure that the Angels couldn't shoot him down. As far as Mordikaar went, he cast Hollow on the maximum unit of Pain Givers, and he put up Manifest Void. Nothing, it wasn't really going to come into play much, but just in case Aurora came up, cast some spells in his control area, it would help kind of force her to spend more than she would like. So, Convergence turn 1. The Reciprocators ran pretty heavily onto my left side. I was not looking forward to having to deal with them. A lot of things more kind of on our left. Kind of just moved up a little bit. The Clockwork Angels on the left-hand side of the screen kind of took some shots at a Drake. Didn't really do a whole lot. Aurora cast the spell that gives warrior models flight. I believe it is Aerogenesis. And she also cast Arcane Might, which is basically her version of Transference. And she didn't really put out ammunition on anything. Wasn't apparently too concerned with that, which I'm totally okay with. The Cypher put out a couple rough terrain AoEs. Those are the circles right in front of Despoiler and the middle Drake. I don't know if he just forgot the fact that my whole battle group was going to be gaining Ghostly, but oh well, there you go. There you have it. His two heavy warjacks just kind of moved up, getting ready for possible charges next turn, and the far right Clockwork Angels did move up, shoot off a couple of my beast handlers in the main unit, and repositioned backwards, so Mordikaar was able to get 2 souls out of it from Hollow. So my response for turn 2 was as follows. This was my feat turn, so Mordikaar went first. He walked up towards that hill. I think he took a shot at something, missed, put up Manifest Void, put up Host of Shadows. He upkept Hollow and popped his feet. So same as the old one, +3 defense and Poltergeist for everything in his control area. Despoiler walked up a little bit, put up Arcane Suppression, so now Aurora, if she wants to cast anything, if it's in Mordikaar's control area, it's +1. If it's also within 10 inches of Despoiler, it costs 2. Because they're not the same effect, so they both get to stack, which is oh so lovely. The Void Spirit, one of the Void Spirits, the one that was on the left behind the flank, just moved up behind Mordikaar. The Drake started spraying down some reciprocators, and I sent the Titan Sentry. It with Host of Shadows was able to charge over the wall. It killed 2 of them. The Drakes on the left, I think, were able to kill 1 more reciprocator and able to kind of do damage to another. The Beast Handlers just kind of backed up towards the center. The Agonizer, this was really a bad play on my end. The Sentry was totally fine. Like it could continue to take out 2 reciprocators with no problem. So the Agonizer really needed to be up close, probably more towards Mordikaar, to be able to help out the Despoiler. Despoiler was kind of something that I was hoping to be kind of like, hey, this is a big meaty target. Ignore the Drakes, which are the real threat. And -2 strength on all of the attacks that would be going into them add up really quickly. So with those Drakes, I completely forgot about Aurora's feat, or actually really what it did. So the Drake that is in contact with that heavy that I forget the name of right now, the inverter. For some reason, I was like, haha, this Drake is going to block the charge lane to Despoiler. But no, because of Field Marshal Apparition, it can just Apparition to the side, and then because it gains parry for the feat, it could just charge and take out Despoiler. But oh well, this is why we play the game to learn. And the Drake on the far right moved in, shot down one of the Clockwork Angels, and that Void Spirit near the trench. I just ran him up there just to tie up those Angels, just to give them something to do rather than walk over and keep shooting my Beast Handlers. I wasn't expecting this Void Spirit to do much else, but where it could save the Beast Handlers potentially, and to kind of help them heal for next turn and things like that. I felt that was worth the price of a single Void Spirit. Like, I understand that the Clockwork Angels had magic weapons, but still, it was just kind of like a little bit of a jam over on that side. So Aurora responded, and oh, did she respond. She herself popped her feet. Everything went about everywhere. It was pretty crazy. Starting from the left over, the reciprocators kind of ignored the Titan Sentry, went up killed the Agonizer. Um, the Clockwork Angels tried to kill that very top left-hand Drake. Did some damage to it, but not enough. Um, between the Conservator, the Inverter, and the Cipher didn't really do too much. But they were able to kill the two right-hand Drakes and Despoiler fairly trivially. The focus, the induction chain that went from, the Corollary to the Cipher to the Conservator to the Inverter, like that whole process was just insane. Basically nine focus going around like that, and it was very impressive to see. The Steel Soul Protectors didn't do a great deal. Finding out that they were Weapon Master, were really surprised. But yeah, it was kind of, they're definitely a good little solos now. The Clockwork Angels on the right kind of moved up to try to help kill some beast handlers. I think the one that is right near the unpainted beast handler near the flag, I think it missed, trying to shoot him and then just repositioned into him. The other one that's still engaging, the Void Spirit, also missed, got poltergeist away, repositioned back into him. The Optifix Directive, he spread around, knowing that the Void Spirits had Killing Spree and the Void Walk. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't just going to chain around. So pretty much at this point, with the Sentry completely out of position, Despoiler gone, and really 3 Drakes left, I had to kill Aurora at this point. There really wasn't much else of an option. His battle group after this was just gonna assassinate Mordikaar, and that was pretty inevitable. So rather than just go to the next picture and just kind of spoil it, so this was basically what I was left with for the start of my third turn. What I did in kind of the following order, I kind of pretty much ignored the Sentry right now because he wasn't really going to be able to contribute to the assassination, so I just kind of moved on from him. The topmost Drake, Mordikaar, I should say, went first. He moved up in between after casting Host of Shadows, of course. He moved up in between all 3 of the Warjacks. He shot his little lantern gun at Aurora, and the Steel Soul Protector stopped the shot with a shield guard, took about 6 damage out of its 8, and survived. So he was still kind of camping a bit after this, because I was just afraid that bad things were going to start happening. I did not upkeep Hollow, but I did upkeep Manifest Void. So between Host of Shadows, Manifest Void, and boosting the 1 gunshot, that's 5 Fury, so he had 2 left on transfers. Which really isn't enough, but you never know. So of the little triangulated Drakes that we have left, the very top one moved around behind the 2 Angels and sprayed into the Steel Soul Protector and Aurora. Killed the Steel Soul Protector, did about 4 to 5 damage on Aurora. Matt chose to kind of overboost one of the shots, so it reduced the damage by 5. So at this point, I kind of had a little bit of a problem, because between the 2 Clockwork Angels and the Steel Soul Protector that's kind of towards the middle of the screen, there's a lot of space there of melee engagement that Drakes don't want anything a part of. So what I did is I took the central Void Spirit, I had it charge into the leftmost Angel. It killed it, and then killing spreed into the Angel just to its right. It killed it. And then, because of the fact that, I'm hoping that I did this right, but because of the fact that Void Walk and Killing Spree both trigger on the same effect, and I am the active player. I get to choose how to resolve it. So what I did was I then Void Walked into Aurora and then Killing Spree the attack into her. And it obviously, well, not obviously, but with the additional die and attack damage, the attack hit, did a bunch of damage. He chose not to overboost it because he was still kind of worried about the last two drakes that were left. So the Mortarthurge Willbreaker walked up. It puppet mastered the bottom right drake of the little triangulated ones. The bottom left one walked up at 6 now that it had more room with the Clockwork Angels not there. Sprayed onto Aurora and missed. So the other one, the one with its arms kind of like spread out, kind of like it's walking on a balance beam and doesn't want to fall over. So that one walked up a bit forward. I believe I needed to use the rerolls to hit. I did some damage and I left her on about 4 or 5 damage boxes after the boost from the POW 14 spray and also the reduction of the 5 damage from the overboost. So I had almost Aurora about dead. Now the only things that didn't activate were all of my beast handlers and that Void Spirit way over on the right, the useless one. So anyways, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, so with pre-measuring, I figured if I could free up this Void Spirit somehow, I could have it charge the Optifex Directive member in the trench. Again, do the same thing, Void Walk, Killing Spree, and then get another attack on Aurora. The problem was both of the Clockwork Angels were engaging models that would be causing free strikes. So I tried to figure out having the smaller leftmost unit ways to walk over and kill the kind of bottom Clockwork Angel that was near the flag. So that way it would free up the unpainted beast handler to then walk over, potentially kill the other Clockwork Angel. It was a waste of time. Nothing, nothing happened. So it was time for Mr. Useless Void Spirit to do its thing. It charged the Optifex Directive. The Clockwork Angel missed its free strike. Only needed a 6, rolled a 4. Optifex Directive died very, very easily. Void Walk, Killing Spree over to Aurora, and there she is with its Killing Spree attack, ended up killing her. And that flanking Void Spirit that I thought was going to be completely useless actually ended up winning the game, which was very, I was very surprised. As was my opponent. So that was basically the end of this game. It only went 3 turns, as I'm imagining that this list will kind of do. It'll just kind of, I imagine it will just run up into position. Turn 2, get into a better position in feet. Turn 3, try to assassinate the caster. I'm not thinking that this list is going to remake the wheel or do anything particularly creative, but it's just kind of fun and interesting and different, and I'm hoping it will be kind of like one of those things that will catch people out, and if they're not expecting it and not prepared for it, you know, you can kind of sneak out some wacky wins that you really didn't think that you were that you really should have won. Like, for example, you know, with the sentry put way out of position, if this assassination failed, Mordikaar was dead. That was pretty much a foregone conclusion. So at least it worked out. Hooray. I'm not really kind of taking too much stock as far as the scenario goes, because now that the Steamroller document has been released earlier today, I don't have to worry about playing the scenario and having to deal with a full unit of reciprocators or any sort of big beefy infantry right there on my left flank, forcing me to deal with it. So I hope you enjoy the game. Here's kind of like an in-action shot for how the army works. I don't really feel the need, especially after one game, to change anything. So we are going to just continue on and see how it goes, and I will be back with more battle reports. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy it.